Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 10-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into it. Going to break it down, figure out the top plays on the slate to get you guys in the green and winning some money. As always, the goal on this channel. Quick reminder that if you do enjoy the content at any point throughout this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave your favorite play down below in the comments. And then lastly, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my Lock of the Night, fan favorite segment on the channel. If you're new to the channel, Lock of the Night going to be end of the video, each video I put out. And also, if you're interested in some premium content, you can sign up. Link below in the description. You get access to all of my premium content. Premium projections, all these sort of data sheets, tons of good stuff over there if you're interested. And let's go ahead and start breaking down the slate today. So as always, we're going to do a little bit of a game-by-game. First game on the slate is going to be Brooklyn taking on Cleveland. This game comes in right now with a 207.5 over-under with a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. So expected to be somewhat close, I guess you could say, with the Cleveland squad being so banged up. But a really low total, so not exactly going to be the best game environment. For that reason, I'm going to have a little bit of limited interest in paying up for a James Harden and a Kevin Durant, not to mention when they're both healthy. Obviously, they're going to be cutting into each other's usage. Not going to be nearly as enticing to me. We do have Evan Mobley continuing to be out. We do have Colin Sexton continuing to be out on the Cleveland side of things. Chetty Osman is listed as questionable. He is more so doubtful, though, so I'd expect him to be out. So that's going to open up some more minutes and more usage, obviously, for the guys that are in on the Cleveland side of things. Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Ricky Rubio, Kevin Love, all going to continue to be great plays because they're the only ones that they really have. They're going to play massive minutes. Their usage should be way up, and everything's kind of matching up for them to, be able to go out there and have a good game. Now, you might want to limit your exposure a little bit because this game's so slow-paced, as mentioned. But if there was ever a side to be a little bit overexposed to, it would probably be this Cleveland side of things. It is a massive slate, though. We do have Lauri Markkanen returning and all this kind of stuff going on where these guys were all out. So probably one or two guys would probably be best for you. Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Ricky Rubio, Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen, all being viable options. Lauri Markkanen being the cheapest, honestly, if he's going to be starting and not limited. He would by far probably be the top option as far as an upside at his price tag. Second game on the slate, we have Charlotte taking on Washington. This game right now comes in with a total of 215.5 with a 4-point spread in favor of the Washington Wizards. So much faster-paced game, expected to stay close. And we know where the usage is flowing throughout both these teams. The problem is both these teams have become a lot healthier than they were in some recent games. So the usage is going to be cut into. We're not going to have nearly as much interest. LaMelo Ball at 10-2 continues to be an absolute fantasy beast, but he is priced up at a pretty high price point over here on DraftKings. He continues to be a guy that we've been targeting quite a bit over here on FanDuel because they continue to be pricing him at a much friendlier price tag at only $9K. So kind of got to pick your website. 10-2, he's worth the pay up if we get a bunch of value. But for the time being, I'm not really sure that we have value. Of course, that could open up on such a huge slate. So we'll be keeping our eyes on the news. But for the time being, I'm not getting too crazy excited to be paying up for LaMelo Ball outside of the fact that it's a fast game environment, all that fun stuff. And then on the Washington side, Bradley Beal continues to be a decent play. But like I said, Spencer Dinwiddie's been out in some recent games. That definitely bumped up Kyle Kuzma. And Montrezl Harrell's also been receiving some bumps as well with the center and Daniel Gafford missing some games recently as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. Both these teams kind of getting these guys back, which could be, just a little bit of a downgrade to some of these guys. Terry Rozier continues to be underpriced across the industry. The problem is he's just really inconsistent. So for his price tag, he certainly could surpass that in a major way and put up a big score for you in your tournaments at his respective price tag, as mentioned. But it's a little bit versatile. So you have Gordon Hayward. Miles Bridges continues to be the secondary option behind LaMelo. He's been a little bit underwhelming for that inflated price tag, though, as of late. His price tag continues to climb. His production's kind of dipping. So I think I'd rather go down to those cheaper guys and a Gordon Hayward and a Terry Rozier in your tournaments. And then Kelly Oubre also you can make an argument for off the bench only at 4-4. I mean, this guy can catch fire at any time off the bench. And if he does, they'll probably keep him in for longer stretches. And he's going to pay off big time in tournaments. So those are kind of be the guys I'm looking to. And then Daniel Gafford would be an interesting option on the Washington side as well. Charlotte's been absolutely terrible on the glass. They've been getting up a lot of offensive rebounds. Their defense has been really bad overall. So I'm going to continue to be targeting Charlotte's front court and not be scared of it whatsoever. Houston taking on Boston, third game on the slate. Jaylen Brown listed as questionable. He is more so probable, though, so I'd expect him to be back. We also have Robert Williams listed as questionable. He's been out for quite some time, but he's also probable. And then lastly, we have Kevin Porter Jr., who's listed as questionable, and he is a true questionable. So Eric Gordon would be a big beneficiary if there is no Kevin Porter Jr. in this one. As far as the total in this one, this game comes in with the 212 over-under with a 12.5 point spread in favor of the Boston Celtics, so not expected to stay close. The Celtics getting back all their guys, it's going to make me have a lot less interest in them across the board. Tatum, a guy we've been paying up for quite some time now with Jaylen Brown being out. I'm no longer going to have interest. I don't have interest in really anyone on the Boston side of things with all them coming back and being healthy, expected to, blow out. Marcus Smart would probably be my favorite option, all the way down at 5.5 on DraftKings. He's just really priced reasonably, so he could certainly surpass that price tag. But other than that, really not getting too excited with anyone on the Boston side, to be honest. They're all coming back. They're going to be cutting into each other's usage. The guys that weren't getting their usage cut into, the price tags are inflated. If you want to run it back with guys on the Houston side of things, you can. Like I said, it's probably going to rely on whether Kevin Porter Jr. is in. Of course, it's going to give a bump up to Christian Wood if he's out, but if the game's not expected to stay close, that becomes a little bit scary. I'd rather play these guys that are probably guaranteed to get some run if the game does turn into a blowout, like a KJ Martin, like a Daniel House Jr. possibly down here at 3K. I mean, he's not going to be guaranteed, so even a guy like a Sagan, a Jalen Green, an Eric Gordon, a Jayshawn Tate, all these guys that are starters, and if Kevin Porter Jr. is out, are going to get inflated usage, would become very good, interesting value plays. Even though it's expected to be a blowout, they're just going to be too cheap if Porter's out. Oklahoma City taking on Atlanta is the next game on the slate. This game, as far as the total, comes in right now with a 212.5 over-under. It's an 11.5 point spread in favor of Atlanta, so another game that's expected to blow out. The Oklahoma City Thunder have been terrible. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their best player, is listed as questionable, so if he's out, that's going to make things even worse. Bogdanovich listed as questionable. On the Atlanta side, if he's out, that's going to open up more wing minutes for like a Kevin Huerter, a Cam Reddish, etc. So, yeah, that's kind of the news we're waiting on. Once again, a game that could turn to a blowout. I'm not getting too excited to pay up for like Trae Young in this spot unless we just think he's going to do all the work and blow them out. Clint Capella and John Collins continue to be priced pretty reasonably for their upside. So those two guys, even though it's expected to be a blowout, you could certainly be looking to it in your tournament lineups. And then on the Oklahoma City side of things, if there's no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even if there is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Darius Bazley continue to be pretty underpriced for their minutes and their upside possibility. So those three guys in particular, I have no issues to be going to in your tournament lineups because they could all put up a big score at that price tag. A little bit inconsistent, but if the game stays close, it's going to be because of those three guys. And they're the pretty obvious plays on the Oklahoma City side. Indiana taking on Chicago is the next game on the slate. As far as the total in this one, this game comes in with a 209 over-under with a 4.5 point spread in favor of the Chicago Bulls. So expected to stay close. Expected to be slow, though. Second slowest game on the slate, so take that for what you will. Nikola Vucevic continues to be listed as out. I don't know when he's going to return. Maybe that'll change throughout the day, but for the time being, he's going to continue to be out, so that's going to be increased usage for Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. We've continued to see all three of these guys produce at very high rates. They are on a back-to-back. They are taking on an Indiana team, which isn't exactly the most ideal matchup in the world. And like I said, the game's going to be somewhat slow, so you probably want to play like one of the three, would be my guess. One of the three can probably reach their ceiling in this game. And then on the Indiana side, it's kind of the same thing. Like all of these, well, it is the same thing. Caruso at 5'2", though, he continues to start and play some pretty decent minutes, so if you want to go to him, certainly a decent tournament play. And then on the Indiana side, like I said, they have Sabonis, Brogdon, Turner, LeVert, all kind of digging into each other's usage. So there's a good possibility that only one or two of these guys reach their ceiling. LeVert's minutes have been way down. I don't really know why that is, but something certainly to take note of. So that's kind of interesting. But then also, yeah, so Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, two guys you can certainly play. Like I said, I probably lean towards only playing one of them. Like if Sabonis is going to have a big game, he's really going to need to kind of dominate on the glass, get all the points, and rack them up. His price tag at 8.7, but if you want to fade him and go to a Miles Turner and say he has a decent game, he's a lot cheaper. So, Miles Turner could get there a lot easier while, Sabonis can still produce at a decent rate but not get there type of thing, if you follow me. So that'd be my approach there. And then, like I said, on the Chicago side, I'd have the same approach. Probably only playing like one guy from each side. Orlando take out Milwaukee's the next game on the slate. Cole Anthony is listed as questionable in this one. If he continues to be out, it's going to be Gary Harris and RJ Hampton, who continue to get a big bump up. This game could possibly turn into a blowout. We saw that kind of occur last time out. The Magic were able to kind of creep their way back into the game at the end of towards the fourth quarter, but it's a 12.5 point spread in favor of Milwaukee. It's a 216.5 over under. The good news is both these sides have really not been that good defensively to start the season. Even Milwaukee really hasn't been good defensively. Giannis put up 74 last time. If the game stayed close, he quite literally could have put up 100. I said that before the game, and I still stand by that. Like, Orlando is terrible on the interior. They can't stop anyone down that slashes to the rim. They can't stop anyone that shoots. Giannis is an absolute freak, and I'll say it again. If the game stays close and it's actually competitive, I think Giannis could go out there and put up 100 FanDuel points or DraftKings points. It's just a matter of the game staying close. He almost did it last time. If he played mid-30s, it's quite possible that he could have. Mid to upper 30s, he put up 74 in 30 minutes. So Giannis is going to be an absolute smash play. It's just a matter of if this game stays close. Cole Anthony, obviously big news. Going to continue to have interest in the Middleton, Bobby Portis, Drew Holiday assets as well on Milwaukee. It's just really difficult to get exposure to multiple of these guys. Probably another, like one of these guys outside of Giannis would be valid. Bobby Portis really continuing to produce. If Cole Anthony's in, he'd be a great play and a much better chance of keeping this game close if he's in. But if he's out, it's going to be a bump up for Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Suggs, RJ Hampton, etc. So certainly big news to keep our eyes on. Those guys would all become much better plays and much higher priorities. You know, Jalen Suggs specifically would jump to the top of the priority list. All right, Minnesota taking on New Orleans Pelicans is going to be the next game on the slate. This game right now comes in with a total of a 213.5 over under with a 3-point spread in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves, I should say. And expect to stay close, decently paced game for the new season. And the New Orleans Pelicans have been absolutely terrible defensively, so I'm going to have a lot of interest in the Minnesota side of things. D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards at 7.6 and 7.4 continue to be underpriced at their respective price tags. We haven't seen these guys have the biggest games in the world as of late, but if you look at the last two games, both of which have been blowouts, and their price tags continue to dip. So I think this is the time you really want to jump on them. And then Karl-Anthony Towns at 9.5. If you want to pay up for him, you probably wouldn't want to play these two guys. But I think the move would be to play these two guys because they're just going to be underpriced. Devontae Graham continues to be listed as questionable in this one. If he's out, Thomas Satoran's going to get a start. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to get a bump up. Josh Hart's going to get a bump up. That's very relevant news, both of which guys are priced very friendly. So this game looking very, very good on paper. Definitely going to have interest in multiple options in this game. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game environment. There's some underpriced guys, especially if we get confirmation that Devontae Graham is out as mentioned. I mean, these guys are going to be great plays. Alexander Walker, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas will get a bump up as well. Brandon Ingram's been very underwhelming, but this would be a spot I'd be willing to play him. I haven't played Brandon Ingram like at all. He's continuing to see his price tag fall. This game should actually stay close. The Pelicans have been terrible. Same thing for Jonas Valanciunas. Karl-Anthony Towns not the best defensively. This guy's been an absolute fantasy point beast. No Devontae Graham should get a bump up for him. He certainly takes a hit with Brandon Ingram being back, but worth going to. And then on the Minnesota side of things, we saw Patrick Beverley start last time out. If he starts again, he's way too cheap, so could certainly be looking at him as well. Next game on the slate, Phoenix taking on the San Antonio Spurs. This game, as far as the total right now, comes in with a 219.5 over under with a 6-point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. Expected to stay close. Expected to be pretty high scoring. I believe the second highest total on the slate. So certainly could have interest in the main candidates for usage in this game, and it's pretty obvious. On the Phoenix side, it's going to be Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, those three guys. That's really where this offense runs through. Pretty apparent where I'm going to be going. Chris Paul and Devin Booker could certainly both get there. At their respective price tags, it probably is leveraging it a little bit negatively. You probably only want to go to one of those guys. DeAndre Ayton's not exactly correlated with them, and if there continues to be no Jakob Poeltl in this one, which I'm not sure if he's expected to return or not, it does look like he's going to be in. Yeah, Jakob Poeltl is going to be in. He returned last time on the 18th. Now he's expected to be good to go on the 22nd. So he only played 15 minutes, but that's certainly a big upgrade for the San Antonio Spurs side of things as far as defense and ability to rebound. And it's going to make me have a lot less interest in, of course, like a Thad Young, a Drew Eubanks. But you can still have a lot of interest in DeJounte Murray, a lot of interest in Keldon Johnson. Those two guys certainly have the highest upside at their, well, I should say at Keldon Johnson's respective price tag. He certainly has a lot of upside at that price tag. DeJounte Murray is more appropriately priced, but the fact of the matter is he's where everything runs to in this offense. He's been producing at a very high rate. He's finally getting those high minutes. He doesn't have these random guys in the rotation who take away minutes from him this year like a Patty Mills. DeJounte Murray has been handed the keys, and he's been producing at a high rate. So certainly have interest in him. If this game's going to stay close, there's a good chance that DeJounte Murray has a big game. The Phoenix side has been very good defensively, unfortunately, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. The game's expected to be a high total. If it's going to stay close, he's going to be a big part of that. Memphis taking on Utah as the next game on the slate. As far as the total, this game comes in with a 223 over-under with a 10-point spread in favor of Utah. Expected to be a very fast-paced game, very friendly fantasy environment. The only problem is whether it stays close or not. But we know exactly where the ball is going on both sides. With Dillon Brooks listed as questionable and now being declared as doubtful, that's certainly going to give more usage to a Desmond Bane. Kyle Anderson was the guy everyone was jumping on last time out. I wasn't too high on Kyle Anderson, to be honest. I just thought his minutes wouldn't be too high, and I was actually right on that, to an extreme. When I say too high, I thought they were going to be 25 minutes or so. He went out there and only played 20, so they just clearly don't want to give him that many minutes. Maybe they troll us and play him a bunch of minutes this time, but Desmond Bane just feels like a much safer option for me. He only played 25 minutes too, but it was a blowout. Kyle Anderson didn't seem on pace to play those minutes at all. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a little bit hard. I mean, it was a really bad blowout, so tough to tell, but I do think that Desmond Bane is going to be the preferred option of those two. And then Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, obviously going to probably have to have some big games if this game is going to stay close. So certainly could have interest in them. They're probably going to be all or nothing plays because if the game blows out, they're kind of going to be in trouble. And the thing I forgot to mention is DeAnthony Melton continues to be out. So obviously that's a big reason why I have a lot of interest in Desmond Bane as well, because there's no guard in DeAnthony Melton. It's also going to make Tyus Jones a very interesting play. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to see the most amount of minutes, though. So he's going to have to produce at a very high rate while he's in there. On the Utah side of things, if things stay close, it's going to be very simple for me. It's probably going to be either a Donovan Mitchell and a Rudy Gobert as pay-up options, or you fade them and you go down to the cheaper guys in a Mike Conley, a Bogdanovich, a Clarkson. I mean, those are the two approaches. You can't really play Conley, Bogdanovich, and Clarkson if you're paying up for Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert in the same lineup, because you really need those guys to kind of be concentrated in the usage to get there at their respective price tags. But if you're fading Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, you're saying that they're not going to have the biggest game, and someone else is going to have a big game. Someone's going to have to score, so then you're saying one of these guys is going to. So it's really that simple. Memphis has been terrible defensively, so they're very easy to target. So certainly I'm interested in the Utah side of things. And lastly, Philadelphia taking on the Sacramento Kings. Last game on the slate as far as the total in this one. This one comes in with a 216.5 over-under with a 2.5 point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings. Expected to play at a decent pace. Expected to stay close. We did get confirmation that Luke Walton was fired from the Sacramento Kings, which I have a feeling is going to be good for our fantasy lineups because this Sacramento rotation has been very spread out. We haven't seen a game yet without Luke Walton, but I have a feeling that these main candidates on the Sacramento side of things are going to get a lot of minutes, and they're going to, kind of the new coach will make a statement on, bringing winning basketball back to Sacramento, which is going to imply them playing their best players more minutes. I think it's really that simple. I've always hated Luke Walton's coaching style, even from when he was with the Lakers. Maybe it's the DFS player in me, but he just plays his rotation way too thin. So I'm going to give all of these guys on Sacramento a pretty sizable bump, to be honest with you. I'm just going to assume they're going to play a lot of minutes. De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, down to that order. All those guys, I think, are just going to play massive minutes. So for that reason, I have a lot of interest in all these guys. And the Philadelphia side has been absolutely not really too scary to be targeting defensively. It's expected to be a high total. And then on the Philadelphia side, we know exactly who to run it back with. Tobias Harris is going to continue to be a usage beast on the Philadelphia side of things as long as Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons remain out. Andre Drummond's been very inconsistent. He hasn't been playing as many minutes. They've been playing Georges Niang a lot of minutes. So I'm not really interested in playing him, to be honest. I'd stick with Tobias Harris and then Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Shake Milton, all these guys down here. If there is no Danny Green is listed as questionable in this one. Matisse Thybulle is back. Furkan Korkmaz is back in the rotation. So things are getting a little bit more kind of loaded up there on the Philadelphia side of things. But, yeah, I mean, Tobias Harris is going to continue to be a great play. Georges Niang, as long as he's continuing to see big minutes off the bench, is going to be a great play, I think. He's seen like 35 minutes the last few times out. He hasn't put up the biggest score, but I think it's just a matter of time before he does. The problem is his price tag continues to go up, but if he's going to play that many minutes, he can certainly go out there and put up 40 points on any given night. And then we have Maytu as well, who's been playing and starting. I don't really know if he's going to start with this new coach, though. So we certainly should keep our eyes on the Sacramento starting lineup. That's going to be a big telltale sign to me, but whoever starts, I have a lot of interest in. And, yeah. And then on the Philadelphia side, like I said, I think the run-back options are pretty obvious. It starts with Tobias Harris. Andre Drummond, I'm a little bit less excited about. Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, those three main candidates are going to get a lot of minutes in the starting lineup. And again, it's expected to stay close. I think they could all have ceiling games this one, and I do like them. Quick look over to FanDuel before I let you guys see my lock of the night, because I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything too crazy as far as pricing discrepancies. I always want to make sure that it's clear. If there's a difference over here or anything like that, I definitely wanted to spot it. So De'Aaron Fox at 7-3. We just talked about like him. De'Aaron Fox and Tobias Harris on FanDuel are just way too cheap. De'Aaron Fox is 7-3. Tobias Harris is 7-5, I believe. So both of those guys in that last game that we talked about having interest in the fast up-tempo game, going to be just absolute smash plays on FanDuel. And then as far as anywhere else that we're looking to go here, Kyle Anderson's only 5K over here, so maybe he becomes an intriguing option. Terry Rozier's only 6'2", so another guy that we talked about on the other site that's pretty cheap over here. Donovan Mitchell's 8'3", which I do think is a very friendly price tag for his upside if the game stays close in that Memphis-Utah game. So he's another guy we're looking to. And then overall, I mean, things are, across the board, things are going to be pretty consistent as far as like my favorite place for the most part. But I just want to make sure there's nothing too crazy here, difference in price tags. I mean, Mike Conley's pretty cheap on both websites, so it's another guy in that game that you could be looking to. That could certainly provide you with plenty of upside. He's taking on his former team in Memphis. Maybe there's a little bit of added incentive to go out there and put up a big game. So he's another guy over on FanDuel. And I think that for the most part, though, everything else I'm looking at is pretty consistent with what we've talked about so far on the slate. So Kobe White is an interesting option. He's been continuing to see his minutes climb. So he'd be the last guy I mentioned over here on FanDuel at only 3.9. I certainly think that he's going to be an intriguing option, but he saw 20 minutes last time. He's been right around 10 minutes, so his minutes are continuing to climb. It's a little bit scary going there until we get confirmation that his minutes are going to be way up, but as the minutes continue to climb, he could be a sneaky play in tournaments, someone to keep your eyes on going forward. All right, guys, with all that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be De'Aaron Fox, taking on this Philadelphia squad in a high total game late night here with a 216.5 over under, only a 2.5 point spread. As mentioned, Luke Walton no longer the head coach here. I do think that there's going to be an emphasis on playing the starters more minutes. Oftentimes when a coach has a spread thin rotation like this, he gets fired. They need to change something up. I think that the change is going to be giving these starters a maximum amount of minutes, and I think De'Aaron Fox could have a massive game here for that reason. Going to be underpriced for the minutes I expect him to play, and playing in the low 30s. I'd expect him to be able to get up to right around 40 minutes with the new coaching staff. A little bit of a gut feeling here, but that's just kind of how these situations usually turn out. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. So there you have it, guys. De'Aaron Fox, get him in your lineups, and that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.